How's it going, everybody? This is Alex Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
What is up, Will?
What up, what up?
Welcome, everybody, to Story of the Fight. My name is Romero. That is my boy, Will. This is where we talk all things combat sports. Today, we're going to be covering UFC Baku and also BKFC 76. We might have been there as press, Will.
Whoa, some of us might have. We're also going to be talking about Jon Jones. We're not going to be covering every fight from the UFC. So if you're not watching this live, check the description. There will be timestamps. You can jump forward to BKFC. You can jump forward to Jon Jones talk. You can jump forward to the Iron Turtle talk. Whatever you want. But if you're live, jump in the chat because we're going to want you. We're going to want your guys' thoughts as well.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, when I say we, it's like a broad statement. Like we, the podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shout out Phil. Hanging out in the restaurant with watching the boys while eating my chicken sandwich. I hope it's good.
Oh, nice. Hey, what kind of chicken sandwich though, Phil? Give us the deets. This is super important, actually. But yes, so we had a couple of events last night. Will, like we talked about, we're going to start off with UFC Baku going Khalil Rountree versus Jamahal Hill. So your boy watched this. Actually, this morning, I had to watch this morning because I was super busy. I was up late last night doing BKFC things, right? But I want to get your take on a couple things, Will.
Hit me.
First off, right? Okay, well, let's talk about the fight a little bit.
Yes.
So you have Khalil Rountree, heavy leg kicks. Heavy. Of course. Right? Your boy came in Muay Thai, Bangkok ready.
Bangkok ready. Yeah. Got the new shorts. There was no pictures of the leg kicks, by the way. The slideshow is not going to have any photos of leg kicks, despite a million of them. But there was lots of them. There's no photo evidence, but I swear if you watch the fight, you'll see them.
Yes, but dude, did such a good job mixing the kicks in. Something that I was super impressed with was Khalil Rountree's timing on a lot of different things, right? Like he didn't chase. He waited for the fight to come to him, which Jamahal Hill was a little bit pissed off about, it seemed like, at the end of the fight. But this was his game plan, right? This was game plan.
You got to win the fight. And he said, I'm not going to make the same mistakes I made against Alex Pereira, where I'm trying to force things and go for the kill 100% of the time and then get caught. Like, I'm not
learning
doing
from
that
his
anymore.
Mistakes.
Yeah. Is there maybe a happy medium? Probably. You know? But I don't think it's this is also one of the few good strikes that Jamahal landed in this whole fight.
Yes, that's the one where I believe Rountree fell, and as he's trying to stand back up, he goes power punch, Street Fighter power punch. I think if you hit both punch buttons, Rich will correct me if I'm wrong, but Ryu comes in with this long extended punch, hooked down, and that's what it looked like. But that was his best shot. That was his best shot.
It's forward and punch.
Thank you, Rich. I knew he was gonna correct me. Yes,
right on.
And if Rich ever gets excited talking about fights, it's when we reference Street Fighter with the fights that we actually watch. So, shout out, Rich.
Definitely. Real quick too, Pepper's in the chat, says, "Hey boys, how are you guys?" Shout out Pepper. Had to come check out the show. Khalil is the only guy I really know about from the UFC because of his Muay Thai training. Yeah, he bridges.
I love it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. He is the face of the UFC in Thailand.
Yeah. Not Loma. Look, Phil says, I covered the UFC Baku card for Twitter and I deeply regretted it. Yes. Look, I said to Ramiro before this card, I've been so negative.
No negative, Will.
Couple months. I'm looking at the positives now.
Yes.
I'm only looking
at
the
positives here, Will. This is one of the things I want to get your take on. Look, I've said it before. I've not been the biggest fan of Jamahal Hill. I think that things kind of worked out for him perfectly in his ascension, right? The stars aligned. Oven St. Preux, Darko Stosic.
OSP.
Yeah. Yes. Loses to Paul Craig, gets caught, right?
Nasty.
And anybody can get caught. But then Jimmy Crute, Johnny Walker, Thiago Santos, and then he has to fight Glover Teixeira out of all people to try to win the title. And look, I know Glover, he was making somewhat of a resurgence, but this isn't Glover of old.
It's 43, and you might say
it's old Glover, not Glover of old.
He was just a champ. He was old, 43 years old, just got off the war with Prohaska.
Such a good fight.
So, yeah, a little battle-worn, shop-worn, the Glover fight. And then he beat the brakes off of him. And that is, he beat the brakes off of him. Credit where credit's due. But there is more to that story. You can't just look at the record and be
Yes.
like, wow, we beat Glover Teixeira. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a little
Exactly.
different.
Yes. And then, and I said it since day one. I picked Alex Pereira to
Mhm.
beat Jamahal Hill because I said Jamahal Hill is just going to be one of those guys caught lightning in the bottle, but he's not going to be a long-time champion. He's not going to have this long-ass reign. Alex Pereira comes in and takes the title, so that's his loss. Well, now that you were the champion, you got to go up against some tough competition now. They're not going to be like, hey, let's have him rematch Jimmy Crute.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they give him Yidri Prohaska.
Mm-hmm. And it was nasty. He cracked him a couple times, but so does everybody, right? Everybody
Yeah, you know who?
Yidri.
Yeah. But you know what else happened? Yidri cracked Jamahal Hill.
Yeah, knocked him out.
And then he goes up against Khalil Rountree. And look, he just looked sluggish out there against Khalil Rountree. Like I said, Khalil had his timing down pat, like right off the bat. And I feel like he did such a good job of just being in his perfect range so that when Jamahal would extend, he wouldn't even have to use too much footwork. He would just lean back and he'd come in with some combos of his own, some counters of his own. He did a terrible job reading the overhand right.
The big,
yes,
the crazy overhand, that standing hammer fist.
Yes,
but I think
I believe that's
biggest
forward
thing
and punch with Ken.
Yeah,
Street Fighter, maybe I don't know. We'll see. Correct.
But the biggest thing, like you said at the beginning, was the leg kicks were huge, and that was like the big question mark that everybody was talking about going into this fight. Obviously, Jamahal Hill's had the Achilles rupture. He had this fight got postponed. It was originally supposed to be happening months ago, but then he had all that fluid in his knees that had to get removed, right? Or maybe it wasn't this fight, but it was a fight that Jamahal had to pull out of. So his legs are compromised, obviously. He's a southpaw. Khalil just like destroyed that lead leg early on. And one of the things that Jamahal does, he leans back a lot, and that's how he likes to, I guess, pull counter, where he leans back and then fires a straight shot. But he couldn't, because every time he would lean back, Khalil would just snipe those legs, dude. And Jamahal couldn't get his jab off his lead stance or his regular stance because you have to plant on that lead leg, and it's just getting chewed up. And then, like you said, he's biting on these big feints, these big overhand feints where he leans back, and Khalil's like, okay, cool, I'll just feint that. He leans back, and his lead leg is just stuck straight out where he can kick it out from under him. I mean, just over and over and over again, to the point where the whole second half of this fight, maybe the whole 2/3 remaining of this fight, Jamal's fighting orthodox, and he's just trying to land his right straight the whole time because, like, what else does he have at that point? And, I mean, yeah, Khalil just fucking lit him up the whole fight. And there's a fine line of, like, commentary teams will be like, and we've said it before, like, oh, wow, they're not rushing anymore. This guy who used to be a berserker, and I'm not saying Khalil was ever really that, but sometimes those fighters who are like all gas, no brakes, eventually they get caught for it, or they gas out trying to get the finish, and then they learn that lesson. And then the commentators were like, oh, well, look how patient he is now. I think maybe, like we said earlier, he was a little too patient. I think he could have finished him. He had him on one leg. And I know Jamal's a big puncher, and
I don't think that. I don't think he was too patient. I think he had a game plan. I think he just worked his game plan. And he said, I'm not going to deviate from it unless Jamahal Hill makes an adjustment. And so in my notes, right, I put down Hill asked Rountree at the end why he didn't engage more. That's on you.
So funny. Yeah.
That's on you, right?
He said,
that's
you're
on
tough
your
to read.
preparation.
Yeah.
That's your preparation. That's on your team. That's on your corner to make adjustments and say, hey, this is what we got to do because you're losing every round.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are telling, like, they're shitting on his corner because there's you can hear them say it's close, but going into the fifth round, but they really didn't tell him the fight's close. You might get this. They started that whole minute of corner work saying, hey, he's up in this fight. You need to go kill him. Like, it's not like they told him, hey, you might have won some of those rounds and maybe you can win this round and you'll get the win. No, the message was clear that he needs to finish. And I know they're getting a lot of shit. I don't think it's on the corner. I think Jamahal is Jamahal, and I don't think physically he could go for the kill. His leg was fucked, and that's where
you listen to the corner more, right? You listen to the corner more than I did. Were there any tips on adjustments to make going back from the corners? And see, that's my thing is like, because you're looking at it from a different angle. You got Jamahal that's in the middle of a firefight right now.
Well, hold on. Before we even go into that, what adjustments can Jamahal even make after the second round of this fight? he doesn't have the biggest toolbox. You know what I mean? What he's going to shoot? He's never shot a takedown his whole career. You know, he's not going to outkick Khalil. You can try to crowd the kicker and just get in there. Maybe that was the thing. Maybe that was the move. Hey, crowd this guy.
Yeah.
Go off with his lead leg toast. I don't even know how much he could.
Yeah. Like maybe don't try to fight the guy on the outside.
But he can't get inside with his legs fucked. You know what I mean? Like that's what I don't know if there's much more he could have done in this fight with his skill set. You know what I mean?
So then you truly feel like it's just one of those things where it's, hey, we talked about it. He got the perfect run for being a champion. Like it just worked out perfectly for him. But in reality, he does not have the toolbox, the skill set, the skills in his toolbox to compete with anybody in the top 3, top 4, top 5.
I don't even know if it's necessarily that. I mean, he'll always have a puncher's chance. If they fought 10 times, I think he does get him maybe a couple times. But I mean, just his tendencies stylistically are such a bad matchup for Khalil. Like, I mean, and the tough thing is you don't really know which Khalil you're getting. He does kind of change, you know, even after the Bangkok Ready coming out performance that everybody talks about against Eric Anders. I think it was his next fight where he's crouch stance the whole time. And you're like, well, this is different. Where's the leg kicks? Where's the marching? Where's the elbows? You know, and so you don't really know what you're going to get with Khalil. He's kind of refined that a little bit, but yeah, Ghost. Hey, shout out Ghost in the chat. He says for Jamahal, maybe spam high kicks to the head and build punches from there. But I don't know if he can make that adjustment because it's southpaw versus southpaw. And he was kicking early in the fight.
He did. He had a lot of leg kicks early on.
Yeah, and he did throw a few high kicks that were actually decent. Well, it's tough. It's decent for Jamahal. Like, even if you watch his pad work before the fight, I saw someone post who was like, don't throw kicks like that after I already bet on you. And it was like a clip of him hitting pads in the back and he throws a high kick. And it's like, dude, it's like, I know he tore his Achilles and that's got to hurt as far as flexibility goes with high kicks. But like, I just don't know if it's in his arsenal. I don't know if he's got like, look, we've all talked about Jamal's footwork issues. We've talked about his reaching issues, his overextending on punches issues that Yadru was able to catch him off of. Like, there's not a lot. He does hit hard, and he is fairly accurate, you know, given his mechanics. Yeah. But he clearly has decent vision too, you know, as far as like evading shots and things like that. But
except for the part of it, big overhand right.
Yeah, but that also, once your legs toast, you can't, you know, you're defensively compromised. Even if you see the shot coming, you might still get cracked by it if you can't move out of the way, you know. Before we go to Ghost's next comment, Pepper had a comment here. He had a question. He said, I have a question. I made a video on low kicks and someone talked about Pereira's low kick. I don't know too much about it. My first thought is to check it. Is it super different move or something? It's very different compared to like what we see a lot in MMA. He doesn't wind up, he doesn't turn his hips over a lot of times.
Doesn't telegraph.
He has a few different low kicks, but the Pereira low kick that everybody talks about is he doesn't really turn his hips over and turn the leg over, and it's kind of the thing that people will tell you not to do because you're going to end up kicking with the flat part of your shin and potentially snap your shin bone, right? But yeah, he doesn't turn his hips over and chop you down at an angle, if that makes sense. He almost kicks up into your leg. But yeah, I would check it out.
Doesn't he also sometimes use kind of like the side of his heel? Like real quick, doesn't telegraph, boom, right? And just like over and over again in somebody's calf, yeah.
Yeah, and it works to his left hook, right? Because he throws that rear right leg kick with no telegraph. As he pulls it back, that's the pendulum on the pivot for the left hook, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But yes, that's that. And our best explanation. And Ghost says Khalil's very twitchy when it comes to high kick defense. Maybe try to exploit those reactions. Yeah.
Maybe.
Ghost is he has an eye for shit like that, dude.
He does, and that's why we love having him on. Let me ask you though.
Yeah. Right? Also, if you don't follow Ghost, Check out his YouTube. Check out his Substack, Twitter.
I'm gonna start reading off some names, okay? And then I want you to say yes. You think Jamahal Hill can beat him? And I don't mean like, hey, 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10. Like, no, like I'm pretty sure he'll beat him. Right? Ready?
Okay. Yeah. In one fight, yeah. Who gets it?
Magomed Ankalaev.
No.
Alex Pereira. We already saw that. Idri Prohaska.
No.
Carlos Ulberg?
Probably not at this point.
Okay. Jan Blachowicz.
No.
Alexander Rakic?
Yes.
Okay, so there we go. And so I just
I'm not
read off
saying
the
he
top.
does beat him no matter what, but that's one where I actually have to think about it.
Khalil Rountree, we just saw what happened. Dominic Reyes?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the top 8, we just listed off the top 8 right now. Khalil Rountree was ranked number 7. He's probably taking that spot, moving up to the top 5. Then you have Dominic Reyes number 8. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't know right now with the current state of the light heavyweight division if Hill can compete with the top 5
At the top. Yeah. No, probably not. Probably not. The secret's out, basically. Like you said, the stars kind of aligned. That climbing that ladder is going to be tough, you know.
Still the best tattoo in the business, too. Still love it. All right. Well,
Yeah.
dude, you know,
What do you do with Khalil?
Huh?
What do you do with Khalil now?
Yidri. Is Carlos already booked for a fight?
I don't think so. They were trying to do
mean-
something with him, and then it fell through, I thought.
I wouldn't mind seeing that fight, too.
That's a fun one.
I really like Carlos Olberg.
Yeah, he's
You've
cool.
been singing his praises
limited,
since day
but...
one. Remember, he had that loss in his debut, and you're like, dude, this is not.
And I said, it don't matter.
Yeah, don't remember this one. Don't remember him for his only loss.
Yeah.
But yeah. So but look, at the exact same time, we could do the exact same thing with Khalil Rountree, Magomed Ankalaev,
No.
Alex Pereira,
No.
Yidri.
Maybe. Those low kicks are dangerous. Maybe.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Carlos Olberg.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
So I think
So, yeah,
I think that this swap works.
Yes.
And that's where I think not just the skill set, but then the game planning. I think that Rountree showed with this fight specifically that he can stick to a specific game plan until somebody makes him change it, popular or not, right? And I think that it's important for somebody that's fighting in the upper echelon to be able to say, hey, if I have a game plan, I'm going to stick to it.
True. No, that is
You know,
good. It's
excitement
good.
and fans be damned.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like 3 knockdowns in a fight. How is it boring? It's like, well,
Good
he
call.
took his foot off the gas
Twice in the
in
third,
all those
one
big
in the
moments.
fourth.
You know, I think, and Jamahal Hill's tough, right? He's a tough guy. Like, and he even said, he's like, yeah, you're hard to read, man. Like, I didn't want to. You're hard to read. He's a weird fighter. Jamahal Hill's a weird fighter.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you think we were going to spend 20 minutes on this main event?
No, I mean half the arena wasn't even there for it. They all left after the co-main.
Oh, snap. Dude. That's messed up, Baku. How dare you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, did you want to move
You have
on?
any idea how much the government paid for the UFC to be here for you to leave?
For real, dude. For real. And look, we're going to be skipping fights, folks, because we're going to be
Yeah, we're not
covering
gonna
both
cover
UFC Baku, and then we're also going to be covering BKFC 76, which is why I know most of y'all are tuning in. But we'll move on. We had Rafael Fiziev versus Bahamondes.
Yes, this was a fun fight. You know, it could have been a little bit more exciting, maybe, but I did like it. My biggest takeaway with this one is like Bahamondes just forcing the open stance matchup to the point where I was like, "What's going on, guys?" And then
it looked like they were dancing in the beginning.
I mean, every time Fiziev would switch stance, Bahamondes was like, "Actually, no, I want open stance, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth," and then they'd get into this like. Are we switching? Are we switching? Are we switching? And then Fiziev would blast him with the open side body kick, which is like one of my favorite techniques. If you're southpaw versus, you know, if you have that open stance matchup, you can just kick them right across the belly. And if you're the southpaw, you can kick them right in the liver. And Fiziev would just blast it. I know. Fiziev would blast it. And then I'm like, Bahamondes, why do you want this matchup? Why do you want the open stance matchup? You just keep getting lit up with these body kicks. Stop forcing this matchup because every once in a while you're getting lit up. I mean, for the first 2 rounds, it was just all Fiziev, man.
And we know that both of these guys are known for their striking. Bahamondes, I think, moved out of his home country at 16. Popular kickboxer at that time, up and coming. And look, anybody can say what they want about Fiziev, but dude, he's an elite striker,
He's
man.
So good.
His ability to be accurate in the pocket. Like super close. And I think that's why I really enjoyed his fights with Gaethje, because both of them, they get in that phone booth and those short hooks that they have, those short uppercuts, you just don't know what's coming. So he landed some beautiful shots up close too. Saw Bahamondes go for a takedown. I believe it was in the first round. And they're talking about, oh, well, it's hard to take Fiziev down. He has good takedown defense. Like, we're not saying he's a jiu-jitsu master or wrestling master or anything like that, but he's got good takedown defense.
Which is a good point.
And then he comes back, and I believe he gets a takedown in the second. So now you got more to think about Bahamondes.
Yeah.
There's another element.
He kind of accepted 2 takedowns trying to jump a guillotine, and it never really worked. But
jump into Gilly.
Yeah.
He never.
But man, Fiziev just what really showcased his understanding of the game is just like you said, his distance management and stuff.
Beautiful.
Despite being way smaller than the guy. Yeah. Also, why are we? Stop trying to high kick this guy. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Never try to high kick Fiziev.
It looks fancy. And I believe it was this one where he matrix back, right? And Bahamondes does a spinning back heel kick, and Fiziev gets back up, and he nods his head and like he points. I'm like, it was probably like good form, right?
Yeah.
Like, but it wasn't like you're close or anything like. It was like, okay, I see you.
Yeah. Then he did switch it to the body, that's what you should be doing. You can't lean out of the body shot like this. But yeah, Fiziev's just so good at just the situational awareness, knowing where he is against the guy who should be dictating the range in this fight. In Bahamondes, he's so long, right? And Fiziev is just not having it. He's just out of range.
Will, there's levels, huh?
There is levels. I know I hate that phrase, but sometimes it's true.
And this is just one of those, man. Because again, you watch Bahamondes with anybody else, and maybe even other folks in the top 10, and you're like, okay, this is going to be a good matchup because Bahamondes is a clean striker, man. He's solid, he's rangy, but dude, Fiziev's just on a whole other level.
Yeah, and like Ghost says, I was going to bring this up. I was rooting for Fiziev, but Bahamondes should have stayed in the closed stance where he could line up the jab like in the third round. Because once he settled into that stance and just said, "Fuck it, I'm not worried about this open stance matchup or whatever," and he starts throwing punches, long straight punches. He's tagging Fiziev, opened him up with the cut. It's like, hey man, like, maybe it was just game plan gone wrong, and then they thought they had something in the open stance matchup that they didn't. Or maybe it's just Fiziev got so comfortable in the open stance matchup and winning that stance matchup that by the time of the third round he was so comfortable with that matchup that this was a big shakeup and now it worked. Maybe it wouldn't have worked early in the fight, but fun fight.
Yeah, it was a fun fight.
No real big moments, unfortunately.
It's all good. You can't get that on every fight, No,
but man, I really wanted that to be in this one.
That's why we have BKFC.
No, that's why we have Curtis Blades versus Cunha. No, just kidding.
Oh God, I was gonna say I don't remember covering that one, but this is where I had mentioned earlier we're gonna start skipping some fights for the sake of time to make sure we cover everything that we wanted to cover, and we're skipping Curtis Blades versus Cunha. So we're gonna go to Orolbai versus Musayev.
Yeah, man, Tofiq is my boy, dude.
Tofiq,
it's my boy over in Ryzen, dude, doing the damn thing in Ryzen.
So Orolbai catches a body kick, right? Takes him down.
Dude.
That entire first, I don't know how many minutes, it was more like a battling for position, right? Musayev trying to get out. You have Orolbai trying to make sure that he keeps him pinned up against his back.
Cool escape.
Yes. And then later on down in the fight, or they're standing again, and Musayev's like, it didn't work the first time. It'll work this time. Goes for a body kick. Gets caught again. Orolbai takes him down one more time. And then what happens, Will?
I mean, it just sucks because and you could tell this is a tough matchup for Tofiq in his UFC debut. This guy is so good, man, but it's a tough matchup. But the body kick was good both times. It was very good.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna hurt a caveman to the body apparently. And he took him down. And then
he just caveman, huh?
Yeah, he totally does. There's no good pictures. This is the best picture they had of.
Oh, dude! By the way,
but
beautiful, right? Because after he takes him down, he kind of ends up in a gilly position, and you're thinking okay, maybe Musayev is gonna try to get that gilly.
Oh, that.
But then the way that he pushes the arm over his head, keeps it pinned with the wrist, right? Slides his other arm over, connects, and very easily puts the leg over the head and starts cranking. And I was like, oh, that was – I don't know if it was super slick or if it was just Musayev that was I am so done right now.
Could have been. And it's like I said, this is a cool matchup, but I mean, I guess you got to jump into the Wolves. And if you look at the rankings, maybe this isn't jumping into the Wolves, but Orolbai we know is a fucking dog, dude. This is a tough out. And it's a bummer, man. But I think Tofiq will come back. I don't know what they signed him to, but he'll be back and he'll get probably a lesser opponent and hopefully get a win because I do really like his style. He's got a lot of fun fights.
Got to be at least like a 3-fight contract, no?
At least. I mean, they had him skip the contender series, so I would imagine
That means something.
means something. He
All
was
right,
fun in
well,
Rising, man.
They had
Lost
him
my boy,
skip
Toshi.
the contender series just like we skipped Curtis Blades. But we'll go Sadykhov versus Motta next.
This was great.
Will approves.
This was awesome. This was you know, we're not going to talk about a ton of technique in this fight necessarily. I think Sadykhov's a little bit of a slicker fighter than Motta, but just two dogs scrapping.
Hey, and one of these dogs, Motta, hits Sadykhov to the body. Looks like he hurts him. Sadykhov's backpedaling a little bit. Motta must have thrown like a 20 punch plus combo at least.
Crazy. I'm so bummed because there was he dropped him at one point. He went down.
Honda style from Street Fighter. By the way, Rich is going to be super proud of me. That's my third Street Fighter reference today. But yes, just throwing punches like crazy. And for a little bit, to your point, it looked like he hurt him, right?
Oh, he had him hurt, dude, for sure.
But then how weird is this? Like he's like shelling up.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he's getting hurt because anytime Motta goes to the body, he like you could tell he feels it, right? And then he responds with a shot, comes in with a high kick, and then as he walks towards Motta, he's like the fucking Terminator, dude. Like dude. Straight up, dude, just like walking him down after that, like nothing ever happened. And I said, "Oh, we got ourselves a fight."
Well, so yeah, he hurts him to the body. He goes down a little bit. Hey, shout out Big Onk MMA. Thanks for joining.
Hey.
But he, you know, he hurts him to the body. He goes down a split second. They build back up, and then like you said, that crazy combination. I think he was not. I'm not gonna say he was good, but he was recovering at that point already. And like you said, he was. It looks like he's wincing, but I think he was just dipping his elbows to try to block body shots at that point.
Yeah.
It was a big flurry. Because otherwise he would have made it out of that. There's no way all those were like damaging liver shots where he's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
For 20 seconds straight.
Just generating liver, dude.
But next level toughness. Like you said, he walks him down, and then the round ends, and you're like, is Motta done?
No.
like that's gonna be tough to come back from.
Well, before we continue going, the two elbows that Sadykhov landed.
Yeah.
So he lands one with 1 second left. Horn sounds, lands a second elbow, and Motta just smiles at him and like tilts his head like, bro, really? Sadykhov, my bad. But that was a nasty elbow too, right?
It was nasty.
So not only is he probably exhausted, his arms are probably drained. He gets elbowed in the face after the bell, and then you got to go another round.
Yeah, brutal, dude. And Sadykhov is very slick. Like you could tell his shots are very mechanically sound. Like he's quick, he's on target, and then it's like the reverse. He doesn't hurt, not with a body shot, but he hurts him. Motta goes back to the fence. Oh my god, dude! Folds him. Like it's a nice combo where he does go down low, back up top, and then right when Motta's like, you know what? I got a dog in this fight too. Let me open up and swing back. And then it's like, oh no, because then he opens up, and that's when the big shot comes in that drops him. What a fucking
folds
banger.
Him, drops him. He's leaning up against the cage, like his legs literally fold, so he just like falls and like leans up against the cage. And
crouch.
And then Sadykhov's like, whet, right to the face a couple more times. Oh, it was rough, but a good fight, exciting fight.
Oh, fantastic fight.
Very
good fight. Both
much needed. All right.
Yeah.
And then the last fight we're going to cover before we go on to the moment of silence and the monies is Jun Park versus Naurdiev.
Yeah, and shout out to Naimov versus Grad. That was a decent fight. And also Seokyoung Ko versus Oban Elliott. Very cool fight as well. We just don't have the time. And also Ulanbekov versus Maxim was fucking sick too, the flyweights. But this is Jun Park versus Ismail Naurdiev. God damn, dude. Naurdiev, hopefully I'm saying that right because I'm going to say it a bunch of times right now. But Naurdiev opens the fight, immediately finds his range. He's cracking long punches on the Iron Turtle. And you're like, no, not my boy. Not the Iron Turtle. Again. And then Iron Turtle's like, I'm fucking the Iron Turtle, dude. And he starts swinging back, and they're cracking each other in that first round. You're like, damn, this is pretty sick here. Second round, they're back on it. Naurdiev takes him down as he's getting up, knees him in the fucking eye with the knee down.
Oh.
Ref jumps in. He hits him with a follow-up shot as he falls back. Ref jumps in, is like, that's fucking illegal.
That's
Hits him with
illegal.
the old,
That's fucking illegal.
and then
Oh, good timing, dude.
Nordiev walks away like, I fucking got him. That's a highlight reel knockout. Let's
Anderson
go.
Silva versus Bisping style, huh? He thought it was
Yeah,
over.
with Bisping on the mic. And you're like, this dude thinks he wins the fight. All stoked, dude. And he jumps up on the cage. And then you see the light leave his soul as he looks across and he's like, wait, did I not win? What happened?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's brutal.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then you're like, oh no,
Is he
Iron
missing an
Turtle's
eye
down
in this
bad.
picture?
Basically, dude. The fucking doctor, this guy on the right, they get this doctor in and he's like, he's good. And they're like, I don't think, let's get the corner in. Let's start translating. They're checking. They're like, how much time does he have? This ref, Lucas, I believe his name is, he calls over to Herb Dean. He's talking to Herb Dean. It's a ghost point. He says this should be a DQ. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
There's like a minute left and they're like, yeah, he's going to be good. And they're like, ask him if he can see. And they're like, huh? And the doctor's just standing there like not doing anything. And another doctor comes over to
When
the
you
fence.
lie on your job application.
Yeah, and then this guy on the left outside of the cage, he comes over. I don't know who he was. And he's like, cover his eyes, see if he can see. And the other doctor's just looking at him blank, just staring at like, and like, this, is there a language barrier? What's happening? So Lucas literally has to grab the dude's hand and put it over Park's eye. And you're like, what is happening right now? And he's just like, the whole time he's just telling his corner, like, I can't see, dude. And then they talked about it after the fight. He did a Q&A on YouTube, like a live stream. And they're talking about how
the world is going on.
They're like, yeah, they felt pressured the whole time to continue fighting. They didn't know how much time they had left. Like, they're trying to tell him that they can't see, but they kept going anyways and kind of pressuring him to fight. And then time runs out. As Ghost says, like, it should have been a DQ. Like, obviously, the 5 minutes was up, and they were telling him to fight, not him saying, I'm good. And that's all the time you get. You know what I mean? But they don't DQ it. And then shout out to Lucas. Let's make sure is his name Lucas? Yes, it is Lucas. Imagine I'm just saying the wrong name this whole time. He's like, come on, man. But he takes 2 points. And you're like, there we go. Let's take 2 points. And he's telling Naurdiev, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to take a point. And he's like, shit.
You want two?
And then they take him over, he does the 2, and he looks up, he's like, The highest of highs to the lowest of lows, dude. He thought he got a knockout, second round knockout. And then to Ghost Point says Iron Turtle was cooking after. Iron Turtle might just be cast iron
pan. I love it.
And he said, he's like, I've never had it. And don't forget, he'd been eye poked twice already in this fight before this knee to the eye. And he said in that live stream that he did, he's like, yeah, people have talked about like seeing double and stuff. He's like, I've never experienced that, but I couldn't see out of one eye, and I could see 3 of him for the rest of the fight. So the whole time after that, he's like, I just had to crowd him because I couldn't see. And you're like, that's should have been stopped. What the fuck are we even talking about? But he gets the dub.
He won.
Shout out Iron Turtle.
The show money and the win money.
And he won the 3rd round after this. How cool is that?
That's awesome.
Iron Turtle's so cool. And then you're like, I can't wait to hear what this guy says about this. And they're like, well, we got to move on. We can't interview him. And you're like, we didn't get to interview him?
It's like the Gypsy King Tyson Fury when he gets dropped. Remember, then he ends up winning the round afterwards.
Yeah, so sick.
I know, man. These comebacks, or like when somebody goes through something like the Iron Turtle did, and he still goes through and wins a 3rd round after he can't see somebody straight.
Dude, fucking look at this guy.
He could barely open his eye. By the way, anybody that's tuning in and any other way, shape, or form outside of YouTube, highly recommend subscribe on YouTube so you can actually see the pictures that we're sharing as we're going through and describing everything that's going on the fight.
Definitely.
Awesome.
But shout out Iron Turtle. That dude's sick always.
Shout out Iron Turtle. And now, moment of silence, Will, for those fights that we lost.
We lost a lot of them on this one. This was going to be a stacked card. We lost so many.
Is there any music we could play for moment of silence?
No.
Any sad stuff? No? Okay, well.
No. But all we lost was Ulanbekov versus the Gooch, which does suck because I really wanted to see that fight. But yeah, he fell through. So they got Maxim in. Maxim actually had a very good fight. It was a fun fight. We just can't cover it because we got more to talk about.
Yep. And then also monies. Who got bonuses for this action-packed card?
Yeah, God. Sadykhov got a bonus, obviously.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. Who else got one? Motta also got a performance bonus. And like, that's weird. Shouldn't, when two guys get performance bonuses, shouldn't that just be fight of the night? Well, they got that too. They each got 100K for fight of the night and double performance bonus.
Wow, fantastic.
Which maybe says a lot about the rest of the card. I don't know.
It does say a lot about the rest of the card, but I'm sure that they don't mind.
No. And
All
they
right.
deserve it. That was a banger.
They do. It was a great fight. Great fight. All right.
Yeah.
Now, we are moving on, Will. We are moving on to BKFC. Oh, wait, no. Before we do, there's something else we have to talk about. Pretty big news.
To.
Jon Jones
Decently
retiring.
big news.
That's right. Gasp. Big news. Jon Jones retiring. Sends it out with a ChatGPT message letting everybody know he's retiring.
He didn't. He did that after. He did it after Dana already announced it. I was watching the post-fight press conference, and I was like, he talked about like a couple of things. Yeah, well, he talked about a couple of things, and then someone's like, "Oh yeah, and what about you guys? You said Jon Jones. You gave Jon Jones a timeline, like a 2-week deadline or whatever to make this fight. Otherwise, you're gonna have to move on. Like, what's the thought process of that?" And Dana's just like, "Oh yeah, Jon called me last night. He's retired." And you're like, "What?"
Next question.
Yeah, the guy you've been defending for fucking years about being, he's the pound for pound number one. If Jon Jones walks into a room, someone else walks in, he's the only guy that comes out, all this bullshit. And that's the fanfare you do for a retirement of Jon Jones is just, oh yeah, he called me last night. He's never fighting again. All right, what's the next question about Azerbaijan maybe? What a great city. I want to travel here. They definitely didn't pay me to say this. Like, this is how we're handling the arguable GOAT retiring.
Yeah.
Crazy, dude.
That is crazy.
And then Jon Jones puts out his ChatGPT statement, and then the news comes out that he fled another car accident where he left someone who was drugged and drunk in the car because he was drugged and drunk, half naked because he was driving and he didn't want another DUI.
Yes.
I mean, just fucking.
That's fucking illegal.
Come on, dude.
Just.
Also, I made this too, so we can at least talk about it with some graphics. But I mean, it's just so fucking frustrating. I know we're trying to be positive, but there's one silver lining in this is that we can finally move on from this bullshit.
Tom Aspinall can move on, get fights set up.
It's just fucking mind-blowing that the UFC allowed this shit to happen. And part of the blame is on Jon, part of the blame is on the UFC, because they made that stupid Stipe fight instead of him fighting Tom Aspinall for the interim belt when he was the interim champ. They're like, no, we're going to do Stipe. And you're like, what the fuck is even the point of all this? Stipe's retired, basically. He's just getting a cash grab. And then Jon's talking about how this is his last fight, and everyone's like, he's just saying that. And you're like, no, he had no intentions of fighting. That was back when? When was that? November of last year? This whole time he's been holding up the division, partly by the UFC. Like Jon is talking... Every time he opens his mouth, he's talking about, I'm probably done. I'm just living my best life. I'm probably done. And then the UFC's like, I never
less than 100,000. I go sign autographs for 100,000. I go to parties for 100,000.
I leave ladies in the car at an accident scene for them to take the fall, not my fiance, for 100,000.
Dang, dude.
But it's like this whole time at press conferences, people are like, oh yeah, Jon said he's willing to vacate, and Dana's like, what? I haven't heard that. Like, we'll talk to him. I haven't heard that. And it's like, it's been going on for fucking months now. What do you mean you haven't heard? Playing this bullshit oblivious card is so fucking frustrating when there's someone like Tom who has so much potential at the top of this division who's not fighting because they're trying to convince Jon to stay for who God knows what reason. Like, it's not going to happen. And they're just, no, it's 100% done. This, in my opinion, hopefully will go down as one of Dana's biggest and the UFC's biggest fumbles. Francis Ngannou, Fedor versus Randy, Fedor versus Brock. They try to make. They're like, oh yeah, my biggest regret, I can't make that. Whatever the fuck they did with this, why? We could have moved on. We could have moved on so long ago.
And Tom, I mean, we lost like maybe a year of his prime.
Yeah.
And then
crazy.
But the good thing is he even said like, hey, now the people get what they deserve. You're gonna have an active heavyweight champion. I was like, oh, that is awesome.
We'll see. We've never had that. We've never had that. Heavyweights get injured frequently, and that's why the window for heavyweight greatness is short usually.
Good call.
The record is like 3 fucking title defenses. You know what I mean? Like the window is short. You have to strike while the iron's hot, especially at heavyweight. For them to drag this on for so long, it's just fucking. I don't know if it's because they wanted Jon Jones involved when they get this new broadcast deal, and they're trying to leverage him as an asset, as far as like, well, yeah, you guys can have a Jon Jones pay-per-view if you sign with us. Or
so maybe Jon Jones gets in this accident, Dana catches wind, and maybe he also tells Jon like, hey, dude, you know what, dude, just retire.
They're saying it was from
It's time
February.
to retire. Oh my
They're
god.
saying it was from February. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I saw someone say like, oh yeah, it didn't happen this weekend. It happened in February. This is just coming out now. And you're like, come on, dude. And let's not pretend like they have some kind of morality where they're like, Jon Jones fucked up legally. We can't have him as the champ. Because we have fucking Cedric Dumbass fight. He just got booked and he's got like 17 felony charges, including like domestic violence and all this crazy shit that he's currently like on parole or probation for. And you're like, what are we doing?
First
so there's
person to fight with like a ankle monitor.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the Venom ankle monitor.
Dang, that's crazy. All right.
Just so frustrating. I'm so glad that we can be done with it all, though.
Yes,
Like,
saga's
God
over.
damn.
Saga's over. We move on. Now it's
To
time
greener
to
pastures.
cover BKFC 76. Story of the fight was there, covering it as media. So, hey, first off, shout out Bernie. Really appreciate the fact that you approved our media credentials. So thank you. We show up, Fort Worth, Dickies Arena. By the way, great venue for this event.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic venue. Not too big, not too
Never been
small.
there.
It was awesome. You should. You most definitely should. Next time BKFC comes. By the way, first time BKFC shows up in the Lone Star State of Texas.
Very
First time.
cool. And you were
And-
there. Look at that. History.
Dude, yeah, we were there for it. History in the making. It was the first time for Story of the Fight to cover BKFC in Texas. So first for everybody. But what an event. You go in, and BKFC is still somewhat of a new promotion, Will. And remember when we first started watching BKFC, and we're like, what is this? Like a random person ran into the ring. After
Yeah.
Lombard's knocking people out after the interview.
They
And so
got,
like, what is?
they
Let me bang again, man.
you got
Let me bang
Julian Lane
again,
out
yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, Julian Lane. But I was pleasantly surprised with the production for BKFC
Yeah, that's cool.
76, man.
It looked cool, dude. You were posting on our Instagram and stuff, and I was like, damn.
Yeah,
That was
the
there?
setup was cool. The energy was high. There was thousands of people there to witness BKFC's debut in the Lone Star State. So all in all together, the production, awesome. Really enjoyed it.
To your point, I don't want to derail you because this is like, because you were there, I wasn't.
No, but this is our thing. This is Story of the Fight, Will. So
This is
please,
Story of the Fight.
come on.
But one thing I want to give Feldman credit for is in the press conference, I think it was actually when you asked him about like, oh, how do you top this like next time you come to Texas, how do you top this? He even mentioned, and I like him for saying this. He was like, yeah, this was like a 10,000 or so seat arena. We did about 94, so we did not try to sell out, but so there's room to grow, opportunity. And I'm like, that's sick, because most people are gonna say, no, we sold this.
We
bitch out.
packed this house.
Yeah.
Dude,
I was like,
he was
I like
real
that.
about it. And, you know, a lot of the things that he was saying during his time, he seemed just straightforward and just real, right? Which I really appreciate about Feldman.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But yeah, look, we'll go through some of the fights, right? Some of the things that really stood out to me. One, I already mentioned the production, a lot of fun. By the way, employees of BKFC, nothing but top tier, high class, really treated everybody well. They come over to the media section multiple times just to see if we were doing okay. Let us know what was coming on later on down the road, what we had access to, what we didn't have access to. We couldn't drink alcohol at the table. Don't worry, your boy here was not, but strict rule. And it was just nice. The other thing about this production is that they have their fighters, champions, and I don't know if they tell them to do this or not, but they're kind of like back and forth, walking around, right? So your boy sees Ben Rothwell, says, what's up? And hey, give me a picture. You know, and like I said, I don't know if he tried to smile or not, but he like gave me one of these, you know, and just
the old Big Ben, dude.
the old Big Ben smile. And then you had Jessica Borga, another one of their champions, you know, just, hey, Jessica, you want to post for a picture for the podcast? She's like, yeah, for sure. Like, she posted all happy. And then, dude, our girl, Britton Hart, right?
Goat, dude.
The GOAT coming by, the bubbliest fighter that I've ever seen, right? Just asked her if I could take a picture for the podcast. She's like, yeah, for sure. Super friendly. And then Christine Fidea as well. Looks mean as hell. By the way, from San Jose, over your neck of the woods,
sick.
Will.
Hey.
Yeah.
San Jose.
But she just looks mean. But she was super nice, right? So just, again, awesome production. A lot of fun. Then we go into some of the fights. One of the fights I'm going to mention, we're going to skip through some of them. A lot of first-round finishes. So for anybody that likes action-packed fights, BKFC, right?
That's what they got.
They tell them toe the line in the beginning, fight. And the other, like the first post I made was, the ring looks smaller in person than when I see it on TV. So footwork be damned. You're going to fight.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can avoid. But yeah, we had Jesse DeRozier, right, going up against Cameron Delano. Cameron Delano coming in. He's played football in the past. He's also a professional bull rider, making his debut in the ring for BKFC. Like, dude, talk about a fucking wild
crazy
man, dude. Wild man.
Yeah, dude, that's another level.
But yeah, he does a good job. He says, so you have DeRozier that kind of has like one hand up and almost like mummy guard, with just like one hand going up. Yeah, but it wasn't like framing too much because he was just kind of like pawing a little bit, and then like he'd throw like a little double jab.
Jon Jones. Oh.
Yeah.
With
And even Delano said, he's like, I felt him hit me with like a double jab. I was like, oh, is that not that bad? He gets caught with the check hook. He's like, dude, I don't want to feel that again. So Delano did a really good job being in and out, right? Using his head movement to getting close, landing some big shots. Finally, I can't remember if it was the second round or third round, but Delano lands this big right on the left cheekbone of DeRozier, and you just see it split open as soon as he lands.
Dude.
And so Delano's like, am I going to go back in? But DeRozier kind of just like shakes his head like, what was that? Like Will Ferrell in what's that movie? When he gets shot by the dart.
Oh, Old School.
He's like,
crazy, man.
You're crazy, man. Yeah. So he's like, whoa. And like he like puts his hands up, kind of walks off to the side. They call the fight.
Then he goes down like Will Ferrell in the pool, and they start playing Simon Garfunkel.
Then Delano's hanging out by the media section. I'm talking to him a little bit, right? Pat him on the shoulder, told him great fight. Come to find out, it was a little like wet, and I was like, "What is that?" It's blood on his shoulder. So your boy had to spray hand sanitizer all over his hands after that.
Hey, talk about the duality of man. You got one guy who's like former football, bull riding, debuting in bare knuckle, knocking people out. Just a savage man, and then I got blood on my hand. Get the hand sanitizer.
I am the opposite end of that spectrum. I'm
That's
like,
what I mean.
This isn't sanitary, and so I sprayed my hand down, but made it not obvious.
Like, hey, can we get some towels over here for the media?
I put my hands in the backpack like I'm searching for something. I was like, sprayed it a couple times, came back out. Your boy was clean and clear,
nice.
Right? And so I asked him, I was like, hey, what's harder, bull riding or this bare knuckle boxing? He's like, dude, bull riding. Like, this is easy compared to that. So just a savage of a man. Awesome guy as well. Great on the mic. So really liked Delano. Fast forward a couple of other fights. You had Darren Whitney versus Rodney Hinton. Rodney Hinton comes in with the Hannibal Lecter mask, right? And then you have Whitney that comes out with like a skull mask. You're like, oh, dude, it's like the Battle of the Mask. Both of the entrances are pretty sick, though. And Hinton had like this, I don't know, man, like this aura to him, and he like had all this confidence, and he did crack Whitney a couple times. But then by the end of the first round, Whitney cracks Hinton. Hinton gets wobbled, and his facial expression changed the rest of the fight. He was like, oh, shit, dude. Like,
where's my mask at?
But, dude, back and forth the entire fight. Hinton would come in with some combos, and Whitney would do a good job shelling up. And as he was shelling up, like I felt like Hinton was missing a lot of those shots, hitting the elbows, hitting the hands. But then when Whitney would land, there was just so much more power behind him. But I think it was just that look, because it would be for an extended period of time that he'd be shelled up, and Hinton would just be throwing combo after combo after combo. And so Hinton ended up getting the decision.
I would imagine with no gloves and stuff, and shelling would work decently well when you're slick like that, and things will just slip off of you a little bit. I could see that being the case.
Yeah, you would think. We'll discuss that a little bit later on down the road as well, Will. But yes, hey, very exciting fight. Props for Rodney Hinton, but also Darren Whitney. In my mind, right, I'm looking at my boy Skyler, who I just met next to me on the media table. I'm like, dude, fight of the night, right? And he's like, yeah. I turn to my right. There's this older dude sitting there. He's super excited. He looks at me. He goes, what a fight. That's a war. And I said, fight of the night? He's like, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Pump our brakes here. Pump our brakes.
Hey,
we got more BKFC 76 later on down the road. So then we go on the next fight. You have Anthony Garrett versus Hayes Wilson. Anthony Garrett, 3 fights in BKFC, 3 first-round knockouts, right? So this guy's super exciting. Both guys chin up in the air. Just let him go.
Okay.
Just let him go. And 3 times in a row, Anthony Garrett has come out the victor in his fight. So props to Anthony Garrett. Very nice at the post-fight press conference as well. Skip a fight. Then we go to Kenzie Morrison versus Alex Davis. Kenzie Morrison, man.
Savage.
Have you heard of Tommy Morrison?
Yes.
Legendary. That's his son.
Oh, shit. No
That's
way.
His
I
son.
didn't know that.
So he has boxing in his blood, Will. He has boxing in his blood. Yes, he has boxing in his blood. I believe this is also his BKFC debut, not for Alex Davis. In this situation, I'm like, look, you got Kenzie Morrison, who has like just a boxing pedigree, but then you have Alex Davis, who understands bare knuckle, because it's a little different, right? Anybody that steps in that says like, hey, like I've boxed, I fought MMA, but stepping into this circle, man, it's different. But no, dude, your boy Kenzie Morrison had some solid footwork in and out. He looks so light on his feet. I want to say he weighed maybe like 217, something like that, going into the fight. But it didn't look like it. It looked like he weighed 185 with the way that he was in there, in and out, and he landed some massive shots, dude. Honestly, like after watching that fight, I think my notes. Let me take a look at my notes real quick, actually, because I think it said something like, "This is what happens when you put in," and no disrespect to Alex Davis, because he could kick my ass multiple times, twice on Sunday. It looked like an amateur fighter versus a professional boxer. You know what I mean? It was just one of those where Kenzie has, what is this? Okay. Boom. Look at that left. Yeah. The way he steps into that left hook. Look at the way he's light on his feet. Boom. Throwing massive shots. And he was going to give him one more for good measure, but he was like, oh, no. I can't do that in BKFC.
So gnarly, dude. That left hand is a magnet, huh?
Insane footwork. But I really, really enjoyed it. And again, great on the mic. And as the night continued, as the post-fight press conferences were going on, and I'm hearing some of these fighters on the mic, dude, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. You probably can't see it on camera.
Dude, it's a crazy event they put on.
Well, I started thinking to myself, like, I think we got something here. Because not only are the fights exciting, the production is getting better. Feldman, right? Again, say what you will, but he's pretty straightforward up there on the mic. Like, there's a recipe for success. But then the production, like the product itself, the fighters, when you hear them on the mic and you see, like, we got something. Like, we could have something here.
It's crazy to see too, because like like we talked about Britt Hart, you get that post fight interview and her face is like swollen and she's like happy go lucky, and you're just like, what is this? Dude, but it's like
I'm a fan.
It gets the people going.
Okay, time out. So when we covered UFC earlier, I dropped the Street Fighter reference 3 times. I think right now we're on our second Will Ferrell reference right now for BKFC, so I love it. Next, we had Jessica Ai versus Maria Agapova. Look, there was a lot of fans for Jessica Ai there. I believe, if I remember correctly, maybe you could check this. She trains in Dallas.
I'm not sure. I'll try to find it.
Maybe. Yeah, try to find it if you can. And but anyways, a lot of people there for Jessica Ai. And look, her adjustment from MMA to bare knuckle looked pretty good, right? You can tell she's very comfortable with the dirty boxing. We mentioned earlier the shelling up. Well, Maria Agapova that would shell up quite a bit, but there were some shots that were going through and slipping through those arms. On Agapova from Jessica Ai. She's just a dog, man. And no matter what, because there was a couple times where she was doing this thing where she has head movement in the beginning. She's up and down, left, right, up and down. But when she's closing the distance, she would come in straight up. And so Agapova would land a left over and over again upon entry. But Jessica would eat it. And then from there, it's up against the ropes. And it's just boom, boom, boom to the body. Boom, boom, boom up top. Yeah. Agapova shelling. And so the decision goes to Jessica Ai.
You could tell she was just overwhelming her.
She was.
You could tell.
She was. And then we go on to what I thought was the people's main event, right? You have Andre Orlovsky going in there. Everybody loves him versus Copeland. Going in. Look, Orlovsky's a legend, dude. I think that when you're
Absolute
like, dude, are you
legend.
excited, Andre Orlovsky? And I was like, dude, come on, bully beatdown. I remember watching this guy, bully beatdown, just kicking some random dude's ass for being an asshole. But on this one here, right, you have a lot of headbutts actually throughout the fight.
Yeah, he got headbutt a few times, man.
A few times. And you see it actually, I believe the top of Copeland's head is cut as well. But on top of that, you also have a massive gash above his right eye. And shout out to the Texas doctor that walked up there, opened it up, saw how bad it was, and said, he's good to go. And he just let him go back in there. And I was like, thank God. So he goes back in there another round, another headbutt. Orlovsky at this point, though, is starting to find his range. He's landing that long jab, coming in with the right cross. And then they call it after that, right? I believe it was the end of the third round, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't remember. And then Copeland just didn't come back out. You see Orlovsky starting to put his shirt on. You're like, oh, okay, they're calling the fight. It was just, at that point, it was too open. The doctor's like, oh, I don't want to lose my license. I got to call this. So he calls it. But look, props to Orlovsky. He goes in the post-fight press conference as well. And he said, I got to make some adjustments. Like, this is totally different. Ben Rothwell goes in at the end to, create some extra drama. And Rothwell tells him, if you fight me the way that you fought tonight, I'm going to end your career.
Dude, and Rothwell's built for bare knuckle, dude. He's so perfect for it.
And Orlovsky, I said, is that the next fight to make? And how soon we see you back in there? He's like, well, it's up to my management team. That's up to bare knuckle. I'd like to get another fight in there if I can before I fight Rothwell.
Well, he even said, he's like, I think Rothwell's got something. So if they're going to do that, let me get one more before I fight him in here.
Yes.
Which is cool.
Very cool.
How sick was it asking Andre Orlovsky questions at a press conference, huh?
If you would have asked me 10 years ago, hey, do you think you'll ever have an opportunity to ask Andre Orlovsky some questions? I would have been like, not a chance. Take a hike.
So sick, dude.
But now here we are, dude. Hey, look at us.
Look at this.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Oh, I love it. Yes. And then we had the actual main event. We had Soto versus Bonner. Bonkers, dude. So I said earlier that when you had Darren Whitney go up against Rodney Hinton, we're like, hey, fight of the night, right? Fight of the night, looking around. Everybody's like, yeah, it's got to be. They said, hold my beer. They walk in. So Soto comes in, right? But the speed from Bonner is insane. Off his back foot, throwing massive combos, catches Soto on one of those. So drop Soto. The thing that I love about Soto, from that first time he got dropped, look at you, Will, you're ready to go. Look at the hand speed from Bonner. Look at the hand speed. He lands a big left.
It's so fast.
He lands a big left hook. Good thing that they're showing it in slow motion replay so you know what just happened, Will. So you know what just happened. He lands on his ass, right? And Soto's like, what was that? He gets back up. But the thing that I really loved about Soto in this, he showed heart, he showed grit, he showed determination, because where many others would have wilted, Will, Soto came out and said, hey, not me. Not me. And he was bringing the pressure. Now, the only thing is the first 3 rounds, you still had that crazy hand speed from Bonner, right? So he still kept on getting tagged. Now, come the 4th and 5th round, Bonner starts slowing down a little bit, but Bonner's got the dog in him too. You know what I mean? So
he does, dude.
So he even though he's retreating a little bit more, you have Soto that's pressing like crazy. Bonner's still throwing some shots here and there. They're landing massive on Soto. At the end of the day, they go the full 5 rounds when nobody thought they would go the full 5 rounds. They're both beat to hell. They both put on a war, and Bonner walks away the champion. By the way, 8 days notice. 8 days notice.
Yeah, that's crazy. Not even in the country.
How good is he on the mic?
Yeah, watching the press conference,
my mind.
And he had a great question with them too,
dude.
That was sick. And Rich should watch that too, because he was like, oh yeah, like the game plan, like I owe it all to my team. That game plan was perfect. I see them like they're on the pads, and I'm just in there on screen.
They're on the joystick.
Yeah. So sick, dude.
After we asked that question, dude, the crowd starts, or not even the crowd, the media.
Yeah.
His team started applauding. Like, it was just
he was like
awesome
holding court. Moment. He was like holding court, basically.
Oh, dude, it was amazing.
They could have kept him up on the desk for an
Bonner
hour.
was so good on the mic. And then, by the way, super classy, Will, and people didn't get to see this, which is pretty sad. He walks off, maybe still in his boxers, I think. I don't know. It looked like boxers. No shirt, BKFC chain on, belt over his shoulder. And he goes, media by media person, shaking their hand and thanking.
Oh, that's so cool.
Person by person, he did not skip one single person, Will. Some of those folks asked for pictures, like moi.
Dude, that's actually very cool.
Oh, dude. Hey, Bonner, you got a fan for life in me. I'll tell you that right now. Not only look at that. There's the picture. Wrapping up the night after chatting with Ben Bonner. Guess I'll just go home since he didn't invite me to the after party. Still salty about that, by the way, Mr. Bonner.
Hey, but he did follow us, so shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to Bonner. Thank you for following Story of the Fight. But congrats to the champ, man. 8 days notice. Phenomenal. And this is what I'm saying, Will. After the post-fight press conference, I continue thinking we got something here, man. BKFC really has something here. Action-packed. The ring size is perfect for what they're trying to do. The way that the fighters walk around the arena, just the personality of these fighters. You got people like Delano coming in that's a professional bull rider. He's coming in and whipping ass. And he's in the press conference saying, I just like getting hit in the face. I know that sounds weird.
Yeah, well, I hope it does work out for them, man, because ultimately we just need more opportunities for fighters to make money. That's at the end of the day, that's what matters. If it's not your thing, if it's like too rough to watch, because I know a few people who watch plenty of fighting and they're like,
tough.
It's hard for me to watch.
It could be tough.
But ultimately, if these fighters want to do that and they get paid to do it, I'm happy that they have that.
Yes.
I know they're on DAZN. I think Triller's having issues money wise, so hopefully they can figure that out. It seems like they sell a shit ton of tickets.
Dude, it looked pretty full in there. Was it sold out? No, but it looked pretty full in there.
Over 9,000 tickets is nothing to like. That's decent.
Yeah,
that's pretty decent.
They had over, I think, 50,000 views for their prelims. Look, people are interested in this as long as Feldman continues putting fights on like he did here in the Lone Star State, Forward Texas, Dickey's Arena. He said he's going to continue coming back to Texas because BKFC loves Texas, and Texas has shown that we love BKFC. So he's going to continue coming back. He said there's possible three spots. He said there's possible three spots.
That's what he said. He was like, I see it almost as like 3 separate territories. Like, it's so big. He's like, there's 3 different markets within Texas that we can.
You got Northern, Central, and South Texas, dude. Hit up Austin, hit up San Antonio.
There's no West Texas.
Yeah, but there's people from Midland there yesterday. Midland is West Texas.
Midland is West. Midland's not center.
No, Midland's
the name
West.
on that one, huh?
Yeah, but look, man, overall fantastic. Again, shout out to BKFC. Thank you so much, for giving us the press passes. Hopefully, Story of the Fight did a good job representing our podcast at BKFC. We look forward to the next event. Holla at your boy next time you're going to be in the area. Feldman, give me a ring. We'll swing by, get some food, talk the next fight. Yeah, hop on the show.
We'll make something happen.
Oh, 100%, dude. But seems like a cool guy. But, Will, that's all I got. Hopefully, all the fans that tuned in enjoyed some of the coverage. But I had a blast. Hopefully, everybody else enjoyed the coverage.
Hey, and best questions in the press conference?
For sure. Stop.
Without a doubt.
Man.
Without a doubt.
Hey,
come on.
Your boy did get some props from the dude that was helping out in the post-fight press conference. He said, "Holy shit, great job, man." And I was like, "Hey,
come on.
Holla at your boy. Look at us." But no, that was it. That's all we got. So thank you, everybody that joined us. Yeah.
Ghost has a pressing question. Is SOF the next big MMA news network? Hey, you heard it here first, man. We didn't say it.
But look, we're trying to reach 16,000 subscribers right now. We're close. We're steady climbing.
Yeah, people are saying it might be the best, the biggest, the next.
Nobody.
We're not saying it, but people are saying it.
So good. But yeah, look. Tell your mamas, tell your papas, tell your aunties, tell your uncles, tell anybody that likes combat sports, whether it's UFC, whether it's One Championship, whether it's BKFC, tell them about the show. Tell them to tune in. We're trying to reach 20,000 subscribers. We're very close to 16,000. We're almost getting there. But the more views that we get, the more subscribers we get, the more that these media or these organizations continue saying yes to us because of y'all. Right? And the more content we can continue putting out there. So thank you very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that other jazz. If you don't like watching, but you like listening, you got other options, right, Will?
Yeah, it's Story of the Fight on everything. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are found. We say YouTube's the best spot because you can see the clips that we put up, the pictures, all that stuff. But if you just want to listen, if you're driving, if you want to listen at work or whatever, we're out there.
If you want to be like Phil, listen with your boys while you're eating chicken at what restaurant he said he was eating at.
Hold on. We got to put that back
Simple
up.
Chicken.
Golden Symbol chicken sandwich with fries, not spicy enough.
Do you know
Shout
where
out
that's
to Phil. Shout out Combat Sports Today. They're killing it, by the way. Combat Sports Today is fucking massive now, dude. It's so sick to see them.
Yeah, props to that, man.
Explode.
Hey,
And Phil's just doing that shit on. God, it's impressive.
It's super impressive, man. But yeah, shout out to everybody. Shout out to Pepper too. Shout out to Ghost, of course. It's always so much fun whenever y'all join us. Big Ank MMA. Thank you for joining us, Austin. Thank you for joining us. Best of luck. Best of luck in your summer camp life. I know, brutal, but hey, you were here for it, even if it's just a little bit. And thank you, everybody else. Will, thank you so much. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate everything you do. And then I think we also have somebody in the background as well. Our producer, Rich, the casual. Rich, shout out to Rich. And Rich, my apologies. I was supposed to take Rich to this BKFC. Your boy messed up on the submission for the media press.
Hey, we're still learning.
We're learning. But on the next one, Rich is coming with us for sure.
Hell yeah.
Gotta be. All right. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another week of Story of the Fight.
Everybody's saying all the best people say they want to do one podcast.